And that is the daunting challenge that Republican leaders have created for themselves. On one hand, they say they want to move in a very different direction than Obamacare. On the other, they are promising that no one is going to fall through the cracks. It's very hard, Elaine, to do both.
Well, Nancy, after Wednesday's meeting, what is the level of concern among Republicans? Is there real worry at this point that, as you say, it could all fall apart?
There is worry because they are having to thread that needle. They are trying to keep conservatives on board, and in order to do that, they have to convince them that they are not creating a brand new entitlement program, that the footprint of this Obamacare replacement plan is going to be smaller than Obamacare's, that it's going to be simpler, that it is not going to amount to a bunch of handouts. On the other hand, you saw the vice president there talking up the plan and saying that we're going to take care of everybody, and we're going to make sure that people who have Medicaid, for instance, now are going to continue to get that support. It's just very difficult to reconcile these two goals. They know they're not going to get Democratic support, so they can barely afford to lose any Republicans, and that's why you see all these meetings taking place right now, Elaine. They're trying to talk all the members very specifically through the plans that they're coming up with, even as they share very few details with the public.
Well, the focus in part of the president's meeting with Hill Republicans was selling the GOP plan to the public and getting it through Congress. How is he planning on making the case to voters and to lawmakers behind the scenes? Is the hope really that the president's public backing could help nudge members who have reservations or are on the fence?
What they'd like most from this president is to sell it to the public, to use his very unique way of speaking to convince the American public that what Republicans are coming up with is going to be better for them than the plan that they have right now. And for some Americans, it could be. You know, the Kaiser Family Foundation did an analysis of this draft of the Republican plan, and you know that plan can still change, but based on the draft that they saw, it looks like Republicans want to give these across-the-board tax credits that only change based on your age. So let's say 20-year-olds get $2,000, 30-year-olds get $3,000, et cetera, et cetera. And in some cases, for middle-income Americans, those credits will be larger than what they're getting right now under Obamacare. So Republicans are going to argue this is actually good for the middle class. What Democrats will argue is that middle and high income earners don't need that money. They can afford health insurance, and that the people who are losing out are the people who need the money the most.
I want to get to what you pointed out has become this major sticking point, the tax credits. In his address to Congress Tuesday, the president didn't really discuss whether they would be refundable. Thinking about the Republicans that are not in line with the current House plan, is the sense that they'll eventually have to just sort of grin and bear it?
This is a huge sticking point, Elaine. For people who don't understand the difference here, it makes a big difference to people's pocketbooks whether these tax credits are refundable or not. Because let's say you're entitled to a $1,500 tax credit. Well, if it's not refundable, then if you're a low-income worker who doesn't pay taxes, then you essentially don't get that money because you didn't pay in the first place. If it's refundable, you do get that money. So, you know, Republican leaders are counting on these tax credits being refundable so they go to the people who need them the most. But that is a big problem for conservatives who say you are creating a brand new entitlement if you do that. And there are many conservatives who have already said they're not going to be on board if that's the case. So it's really going to be a test in the coming days of just how firm their positions are, because there is going to be a huge uproar, Elaine, if these tax credits aren't refundable. Then basically what it means is that anybody who's getting assistance now from Obamacare is not going to get that assistance anymore.
All right, Nancy Cordes on Capitol Hill for us. Nancy, thank you.
You're welcome.